All right, today we're going to talk about something that's absolutely crucial. How to structure your arguments so they don't just sound good but actually convince people. Let's jump right in.
So, let me ask you this. Have you ever been in that situation where you've got a fantastic idea, maybe a perfect solution to a problem, you pitch it, and you just get crickets? A polite smile and a no thanks. It's so frustrating, right? Makes you wonder if the idea was ever good in the first place. Well, here's the thing. What if the problem isn't your idea at all? What if your idea is brilliant, but the way you're presenting it is setting it up to fail? The big takeaway from our source today is that the structure of your argument is often the secret ingredient to getting a yes. Okay, so let's frame this up. The persuasion problem is that most of us get so focused on the what, the data, the facts, all the brilliant features of our idea. But we totally forget about the how, the actual journey we need to guide our audience on to get them to see what we see.
So, how do we solve this? Well, to figure it out, our source points to two classic foundational models that have really shaped how we think about persuasion. They kind of give us two different lenses to look through. And this slide right here is where it all starts to click. Think of it like cooking. Aristotle's famous appeals, ethos, pathos, and logos, are like your ingredients. You absolutely need credibility, emotion, and logic. But just having flour, sugar, and eggs on the counter doesn't mean you have a cake. Monroe's sequence, on the other hand, is the recipe. It's the step-by-step guide on how to combine those ingredients to actually make something amazing. And that's exactly what we're going to focus on, Monroe's motivated sequence. Now, this isn't some newfangled idea. It was actually developed way back in the 1930s, and it has been an absolute beast in fields like sales and advertising ever since, just because it's so darn effective and practical. At its heart, it's just a simple, proven blueprint. And this isn't about tricking people or manipulating them. It's really about creating clarity. It's a way to build your argument so it logically and emotionally walks your audience from point A to point B without them getting lost along the way. So here's the roadmap. It's 5 clear, simple steps: attention, need, satisfaction, visualization, and finally, action. Let's break down what each of these really means. First things first, attention. This is your hook. It's so obvious, but you can't persuade someone who's scrolling on their phone. Before you get into any of your points, you have to cut through the noise with something that makes them look up and say, okay, I'm listening. All right, once you've got their attention, you have to establish the need. This is where you make the problem feel real and urgent for them. You're basically showing them, here's where we are and here's where we could be. You create this little bit of tension that needs a resolution. And what's the resolution? Well, that brings us to step 3, satisfaction. Now that you've clearly defined the problem, you bring in your idea as the hero of the story. It's the thing that's going to solve the problem and relieve that tension you just built up. But hey, don't just tell them it's the solution. You have to make them see it. Step 4 is visualization. This is where you paint a picture for them. You help them imagine how much better things will be, how much easier their life will be once they adopt your idea. And finally, action. This might be the most important step, and it's where so many presentations just fall apart. You've done all this work. Don't leave them guessing. Tell them exactly what you want them to do next. Make it super simple and easy. Okay, so theory's great, right? But does this stuff actually work? Let's run a little test with a super simple, everyday example from the source material. A good waiter selling a glass of wine. So first, the waiter grabs your attention. They don't just say, "Want some wine?" No way. They might lean in and say something about the wine's aroma, its notes of dark cherry. They get you curious. Next up, the needs sommelier. They'll explain that the amazing steak you ordered is great, but with the right pairing, it can be a truly unforgettable experience. They've just created a tiny problem. Your meal isn't perfect yet. And what satisfies that need? You guessed it, satisfaction. The waiter presents the solution, this specific Cabernet that's the absolute perfect partner for your dish. Then comes the magic, visualization. They help you picture it. They'll say something like, imagine how the bold fruitiness is going to complement the savory char on the steak. You can almost taste it before it even arrives. And finally, they close with a simple, clear action. Shall I bring a glass for you? It's not pushy. It's a simple yes or no question that makes it incredibly easy to say yes, please. You see how that works?
It's so smooth you barely even notice it's a sales pitch. And that exact same 5-step sequence that sells a $12 glass of wine, it can also be used to get funding for a huge project, to launch a new product, or just to get your team to try a new workflow.
The source material really just nails it with this quote. A great idea is only half the equation. The other half, the crucial half, is presenting it in a structured way that makes people want to come along for the ride.
So if you take one thing away today, let it be this. Structure isn't just a box you put your ideas in. It's the actual path you build. It's what turns a bunch of facts into a compelling story that logically and emotionally guides your audience right to the conclusion you want them to reach.
So, this blueprint, it's an incredibly powerful tool. And now it's yours to use. The only question left is, what's the first thing you're going to build with it?